This is week 5, Tuesday's assignment, lesson 4, round decimals. So rounding decimals is similar to rounding whole numbers. Whenever we round decimals, we always look at the underlying digit first, and that's the number that's either going to stay the same or it's going to go up. And how we know it's going to stay the same or go up is when we look at the number to the right. The number to the right is going to determine whether that, if not that underlying digit, is either going to stay the same or move up. Okay, so this one says round 4 and 682 thousandths to the nearest tenth. So here we're looking at the tenth place, which is that 6. Okay, so I like to do a little arrow to that number to the right because that's the number that's going to tell us. That 8 is going to tell us whether or not that 6 is going to stay the same or if it's going to go to a 7. And how we determine that is our little poem that we've learned. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. So if that number that is arrowed to, the number that has an arrow to it, if it's 5 or more, we're going to raise the score of the underlying digit. Now, if it's 4 or less, that number rests. Okay. In this case, that 8 is 5 or more, obviously. So it now becomes, that 6 now becomes a 7, and we have 4 and 7 tenths. So 4 and 682 thousandths rounded to the nearest tenths place is 4 and 7 tenths. Okay. So let's look at the bottom, number 1 through 3. It says write the place value of the underlying digit, round each number to the place of the underlying digit. So here it's telling us two things. We have 2 blanks here, 2 answers. Okay, write the place value of the underlying digit. That's the first thing we're going to do. So we look at this first one, 9. Okay, we have the tenths place, then the hundredths place. So that's going to be hundredths. So you would write hundredths here. That's the first answer. Then it said round each number to the place of the underlying digit. All right, so I'm going to draw an arrow like we did in the previous example to that number 2. That 2 is going to determine whether that 9 stays the same or if it's going to be raised. 2 is 4 or less. Remember, do your poem. 5 or more, raise the score. 2 or less. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. I was getting ahead of myself. That 2 is 4 or less, so that 9 is going to rest. Okay? So when we're round to the hundredths place, that 9 is going to stay the same. So rounded, so 392 thousandths rounded to the hundredths place is 39 hundredths. Number 2, 2 answers again. We're going to write the place value of the underlying digit. The underlying digit 7 is in the tenths place. So our answer is going to end in the tenths place. Do my arrow to the number before. It's a 1. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. 1 is 4 or less, so that 7 is going to rest. 5 and 7 tenths. 5 and 714 thousandths is rounded to 5 and 7 tenths. Number 3, 16 and 908 thousandths. Again, this 9 is underlined here, and that is the tenths place. You know I like to underline the THS so we know which position we're at. And then we're going to look at that 0. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. That 0 is definitely 4 or less, so it's going to remain 16 and 9 tenths. That 9 is going to stay the same. 16 and 9 tenths there. 4 through 6, name the place value to which each number was rounded. So here, number 1 is rounded to the hundredths place, and when you round to the hundredths place, it ends in the hundredths place. 2 is rounded to the tenths place and ended in the tenths place. 3 was rounded to the tenths place and ended in the tenths place. So that's how you're going to find this answer. Where's this ending at? Where's that 3? 825 thousandths was rounded to 83 hundredths. I just said it out loud. I just gave you the answer. 83 hundredths is what it was rounded to. So what I end saying is hundredths. So it was rounded to the hundredths. So let's look at the next one. 3 and 815 thousandths was rounded to 3 and 82 hundredths. Again, we're looking at this last digit here and here. It's hundredths. All you got to do is say it out loud, and it's going to tell you. 1 and 546 thousandths was rounded to 1 and 5 tenths. Well, why did I end with here? 1 and 5 tenths. So it was rounded to, the place value it was rounded to was the tenths place. Okay? That was page 7, week 5, Tuesday's assignment, lesson 4. Now we're going to do a couple of examples on page 8. This is the one I'm probably going to take a grade on, so it's based on the previous page's examples. So for like 1 through 6, it's saying write the place value of the underlying digit, round each number to the place of the underlying digit. Example 1, that 7 is in the tenths place, so you write tenths here. And then you draw an arrow to that 8. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. That 8 is obviously over 5, over 4. So the 7 is now going to be raised to an 8, so that's why it's 8 tenths. Okay? Now let's look at number 5. 15 and 186 thousandths. Well, the underlying digit here is the tenths place. So I'm going to write tenths. Okay? Arrow to that 8. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. That 8 is 5 or more, so we're going to raise the score of that 1. What is 1 up from 1? It's 2. So we rounded to the tenths place, and the answer is 15 and 2 tenths. So you're going to do that for 2, 3, 4, and 6. 7 through 12, name the place to which each number was rounded. Again, it's just a matter of saying it out loud. 546 thousandths was rounded to 55 hundredths. Okay, what did I end with? 55 hundredths. So it was rounded to the hundredths. Look at number 10. 1 and 974 thousandths to 2. Okay, so I'm not ending in tenths, hundredths, or thousandths, but what I did end with here, that number 2, is the ones place. So you're going to do that for 8, 9, 11, and 12. And then you get to this 13 through 15. It says round 7 and 954 thousandths to the place named. It's telling us the tenths place. Okay. So if I need to rewrite 7 and 954 thousandths, we're rounding to the tenths place. Do my arrow. That 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. That 5 is 5 or more. That 9 turns into a 0. The 7 turns into an 8. So you're going to do that for 14 and 15. For that same number, the same number here, you're going to round to the hundreds place. The same number here, you're going to round to the ones place. Same thing with 16, 17, and 18. There's 8, 10, and 194 thousandths. You're going to round the first one to the tens place. Rewrite it here. Round it to the hundreds place. Rewrite it here. And round it to the ones place. You're always going to write this number. Okay? This number goes here. 18 and 194 thousandths goes here. 18 and 194 thousandths goes here. Okay? That doesn't ever change. What you're rounding to doesn't ever change. Only the place value. And then you've got a couple of look no solves here.